Good, okay. When we get. Okay, it's 10 a.m. We will call to order our salary board meeting for Thursday, August 11th, and we're going to accept public comment for items that don't appear on the agenda. We're seeing no public comment at this time. Anything we needed to add to our salary board agenda? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, July 28th.
Motion to approve minutes? Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion has carried. Okay. All right, we're going to welcome Bernie Cantorna, our district attorney, and he will be a voting member on these items under salary board here. And Bernie, welcome. Good morning.
I was going to say thank you, Judge, but
No, please.
on autopilot, I'm not in court. Thank you. I'm here to request approval of hiring Julia Dellinger for the position of ADA PC number 9, start date August 2022, at a grade 14, step 2. The step 2 would be, although she's a lateral transfer from the PD's office, it would take her from a 1 to a 2. She's actually been hired on by the PD's office as of May 2020, so she's well into the step 2 category, but on the Archer study someone did not advocate for her to be a 2, so I'd like to advocate for her to be a 2. She's been a licensed lawyer since December of 2020, so even as we sit here today, she would be qualified, she would be properly classified as a step 2.
Okay. Thank you, Bernie. In terms of that, so just maybe broad picture, let me say this. We're in this transition period between the current policy we have for transfers and promotions within the county and the guarantee or the minimum increases that would occur there. As we transition into a new policy that may be a little different from what we currently have, for some of the items here, we may just recognize that we're currently with an old policy coming into a new one. That being said, let's talk about that. So in terms of that recognition for the years of service and moving her on this step.
In the past policy and proposed current or future policy, lateral transfers did not receive step increases
Sure.
when the grades were the same. So when we've laterally transferred one department clerk 2 to another department clerk 2 in another department, there was no increase granted, as an example. For years of service, I believe that she started as a legal secretary, Jerry, correct? And so she just transitioned to a public defender within the last year. And the Archer study only looked
Okay.
at the time that she has been a public defender, which is under 1 year. So while she's been with the county for a length of time of more than 1 year, she still fell in that step 1 category as a public defender.
So in terms of that, Bernie.
She would have been a law clerk, but actually practicing as a lawyer in 2020. She was licensed in December of 2022. She would have been shortly thereafter a licensed lawyer practicing as a public defender. So she was an intern practicing as a certified intern. So even though she had a law clerk classification in May of 2020, by December of 2020, the same year, she was a licensed lawyer and she would have been moved from clerk to
I do not
to
have
public
her
defender.
full history here in front of me, so.
Okay.
So that would have meant, obviously, we're sitting here today, all of 2021, she was a licensed lawyer working as a public defender. It's August now, so that's 1.8 on my math. Now, when she got transitioned from law clerk to that, I can't speak to that, but I checked her licensing status. She was licensed on December 22nd, 2020.
So I think we're going to want to respect what the Archer study did to have the calculation and moving folks to the new scales be the amount of time that they had been in the current position. And because we had individuals within offices that had been in positions, different positions, but we only credited them for that time so I would think that if we could find out when she changed the position, I think it would be if indeed she has been a assistant public defender for more than a year it would make sense to put her into that if that was missed in the move over. But if it has been less than a year, we'd want to respect that and move her into the A step. We appreciate the advocacy for this person, but I would suggest that that might be the best course of action. But when she hits that year, that would be then when she would have the opportunity. So it may be happening in the next few months. So if it's possible to check on that.
I'm checking on it
Okay,
right now.
thank you.
I'd just like to wrap it up.
Oh,
before this
absolutely.
meeting, so if we
Abs-
could-
I'm just,
And that's fine, I'm okay
Yeah.
with that,
What-
because
yeah.
we've got a budget coming through, I'm gonna put her in through.
I don't want to, and I don't think we want to take a motion that's going to be this or that. So are you able to stick around? We'll come back to it, Bernie,
Sure,
once we
no
get an
problem.
answer. Okay. Is it okay if we just take action on that change in title? I think it looks like we're just looking for the position of paralegal 1 to change to paralegal, just to clean up from the Archer study. Did you want to, just in terms of the first item there?
Sorry, I must have missed
No,
it.
that's okay. I think this is just a cleanup, Jerry. I don't, it's just removing the 1 from paralegal. So
Okay,
we look for a motion to change the title to paralegal.
Motion to approve the change in title to paralegal in the district attorney's office due to the Archer compensation and classification study.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. We were telling Bernie when you stepped out, we'll come back to that item.
I have the
Oh,
answer.
you have the answer.
She
Look at,
became a public
Okay.
defender in the public defender's office on December 20th of 2020. So it has been over 1 year.
right, let's mark that down.
It
Tell
would
my
have been,
wife, too.
when the Archer
I'm taking
study
special
was, when the Archer study pulled the data, it was in April of 2022, so she would have still fallen into that 1 category. But since a couple more months have passed since that was, then it
Okay.
would be.
great. So this would be, so we don't have to change any, the language on the agenda is good. We can look at it from that standpoint. Okay. So let's do this. Let's just recognize the fact that it is due to an error in the Archer study. Let's just note that. I think that's important. Okay, so we are all agreed on that. We'll allow you to make the motion.
I move that we do that. I can't put all those words together in a sentence.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded to approve the lateral transfer change in title in department, title department for Julia Dellinger, in addition to fixing the error with a step 2. All right. Any final discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Jeremy, our Prothonotary Clerk of Courts, is welcomed up to discuss approval of the rate of Tiffany Hoag. Good morning.
Good morning. I recommend the hiring of Tiffany Hoag for the position as Prothonotary Department Clerk, PC number 23, with an anticipated start date of August 15th of 2022, pay period number 18. The position is being requested to be filled per county policy at $16.36 per hour. Tiffany is a self-starter and has proven customer service, and I believe that she would be excellent in fulfilling the role in my office.
Okay. Would you like to make the motion?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to hire Tiffany Hoag for the position of Prothonotary Department Clerk, PC number 23, pay period number 18 at $16.36 per hour.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. For our items for the courts, we'll start off with the approval of the rate of Carly Croyle, and this is to appoint her as full-time magisterial district court secretary. We do have a request from President Judge West requesting that Ms. Croyle be approved at step B, and we would have a discussion on this one as well. In terms of previously with the district attorney, that was something that we had missed within the Archer study, but with this one, this is a request that is outside of that. This person is a brand-new hire. It's not a lateral change or anything. I would suggest that as we develop the policy related to experience outside of county government and bringing that in, we don't have that on the books yet, but is there any relevant experience that would justify that second step?
She does not have any prior office or court experience that would justify an additional step, in my opinion.
It would, I think, be prudent then to, I don't want to say we deny the rate, but we could approve it just at the A step with that light. We always, and again, we want to reiterate, any elected official can bring a request to the salary board, that's their right. But in terms of the new policy that we're looking to create, it wouldn't be, this request would not be in line with that. If she had worked in another county and had come here, another MDJ office, that would be a totally different story, but we don't see that relevant experience as it was sent out with her information.
I'm going to put it in a different way.
Sure,
We
sure.
went through an arduous process to try to create parity, equality, and fairness in the system. And I think we need to tweak a few things, and we need to continue to clean up that process. But that being said, I think it's reasonable to assume that as we move forward here, that when somebody comes in, they start at the same step. That's how we got ourselves in the last kind of conundrum of mix and match salaries. So I would support the opening step. And if there's if there's a compelling argument otherwise that I don't know about, then I would consider that. So.
Judge, good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. I think-
Actually?
Yeah,
he's
I know.
here.
I would agree wholeheartedly with that. Judge, just to bring you up to speed, we were talking about the item that's on the agenda today. Just to bring you up to speed about where our discussion was at, the current policy that we have in place, or I should say, the new policy that we're putting in place with the finalization of the Archer study would allow an individual to bring their experience from, relevant experience from outside of county government for a justification for an additional step increases when they're hired in. And we were asking and talking about, does Ms. Croyle have any relevant experience, judicial office, that would justify that additional step? And so we were having that discussion. We're leaning towards having her start at the A step. If you have anything that you'd like to offer on this item, we would allow you the opportunity to do that at this point. Sure, and if you're either welcome to join us at the podium or at the table here. Although you're not a voting member, it would be the president judge, but you're still welcome to join us.
I'm not part of the salary board, so I'll speak from here then.
Please, but this would be your employee. We'd want to hear from you.
So I should say that I interviewed several people for this position, and the first three might have been adequate. But as a public servant, I believe we should strive for more than adequate. I think we should strive for excellence. And Carly Croyle, I think, meets that standard. Her degree's in criminology from Penn State, so she's got a bachelor's there, and her GPA was 3.47, so she was a superior student. She's done court-related studies besides the actual criminology, but she was a teaching assistant there, and she also participated in research studies on jury discrimination with her professors. She also is a ball of fire. And this was confirmed, by the interview, but also the contacting her employer. And she does not sit still. She's someone who makes things happen. She has the experience that we want in terms of client relations. So I believe she's an exceptional candidate. And as an exceptional candidate, I believe that she should be compensated accordingly. Fortunately, our new office manager, Anna, she has her associates in criminal justice, and now we have someone with a bachelor's in criminal justice, and that's just vital for the people we deal with, and keeping the system running, and treating people with the fairness that they deserve. So, you know, if it's within your ability, I would urge you to bump her up to the second step.
Judge, thank you so much. We appreciate the advocacy for this incoming employee. I think our direction is going to be towards looking at the A step. As Commissioner Dersham was ending his comments prior to you coming in, is we just went through a lengthy study that really was trying to correct a lot of the issues that occurred when we would bring people in to different steps and not have a objective rubric for how we do that, and we're going to be in the future looking at previous work experience, and we appreciate the fact that she was an excellent student and is probably going to be an excellent employee, but we're going to respect that. She would be open a year from employment for that additional step, and so we would look forward to that occurring and her performing great during the year, and you could consider that at that time.
I can ask one question then?
Please, yeah.
She has worked for 4 years with an employer, Cricket Wireless, and a lot of that's been in customer relations. I mean, I guess, would that carry over?
It wouldn't, unfortunately. And again, before you had come in, if she had worked, let's say, at another county's court system, if it had been in a office setting, administrative setting, potentially, but that wouldn't, I don't think that's something that we're considering. Yeah. But we appreciate your advocacy. Thank you. We would look for a motion to approve the rate at Carly Croyle at the A step.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Questions? Judge, thank you again for your advocacy. We appreciate it. All those in, please, yes.
Could you just remind me what the pay scale is for the A step?
1753. Yes.
All right.
Okay. You're very welcome. Thank you. And as we go forward with the policy, Judge, you'd have the opportunity to weigh in on that and offer any comments, potentially for education. Should we consider education within that spectrum? So.
Well, I just
No,
want
please. Yeah, please. Yeah.
just for your benefit, having been here a while and having seen a lot of the inequities that have occurred in the hiring process, you know, somebody comes in and says, well, this person has X number of years doing this or that, and we've always considered that sort of at a case-by-case basis. And one of the things that this Archer study did was actually set baselines to get started with, and we were literally in our second or third week of the Archer process, and I think we need, at least for the moment, to be consistent with where we started, and that's where I'm coming from, just so you understand.
So, level of education is not a factor?
Wouldn't be. No, would not be.
At this point,
Sure, and I think through the policy process, when we adopt that policy for bringing folks in, we can have that conversation. Also, we appreciate the fact that we work with the courts, through the president judge, through the court administrator, and so we haven't directly been speaking with you about this, it's been with them. So we'll be sure, as we put the policy out there, you'll be able to see it, have a copy of it, and give us your thoughts. It's an adequate point, Judge, so we can certainly consider that, okay?
I assume that there's nothing else involved for this meeting.
You are always welcome to join us, but yes, after this, there wouldn't be any business for this item after we take a vote, okay? Certainly excused, yes, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Judge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Okay, take care. Thank you, Judge. Thank you. We do have another item for the courts, and this is for the Judge Collegiate Walker's office, and we look for a motion to approve the lateral transfer change of title, and this would be for Diane Beerley going from the probation office to the judge's office. Would there be a motion?
Motion to approve the lateral transfer of Diane Beerley.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. And again, just to note, she is, the position of the office coordinator in the probation is the new 7, and in Judge Gillette Walker's office, the MDJ office supervisor is also a 7. So, and she's going from the T, which is the 20th step, as we've now come accustomed to that same place. So it's essentially same grade, going over to that, so.
Just a lateral transfer.
Yep, lateral transfer, just so that we're all, you know, it's a new system, we just want to make sure we're all understanding it, so. We look for a motion, or has that already been made? I apologize, we
No.
did take a motion seconded, okay. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried, okay. For our probation office, anything you'd like to add to these, Kristen, for these?
No, these are standard appointments at the A step for 2 department clerk positions in the probation office.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve probation items 1 and 2.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay. All right. In our Human Resources Office,
We are looking
Yeah.
just to approve the rate for the temporary election workers. They were not
Okay.
included as part of the Archer study, so we wanted to just take action to approve them at our starting rate of $15 per hour. The same as what we do for floaters, which do also sometimes go over and assist with elections during election time as well, so they'd be at the same rate.
it's one of these things that is a seasonal,
Correct.
very seasonal, so that's why it wasn't included within that, and we'll take action on it today. And later on in our Commissioner's agenda, and Elections agenda for that matter, we'll be talking about potential additional funding for those positions, so stay tuned for that. But we're just cleaning this up, so we'd look for a motion to approve the pay rate for the temporary election workers.
Motion to approve the pay rate for the temporary election workers.
Steve, you're chair of the elections part.
Second.
All right,
Either way.
it's been moved and seconded. Any
I'll
final?
sit on it.
That's right. Any just further discussion, questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. Julia, we welcome you up for this. Anything you'd like to add or discuss?
Just that I'm asking for you to approve my request to allow my agency supervisors to accrue up to 15 hours of overtime after they've already worked their full 40 hours. Up until now, until October. I currently have 5 vacancies with, on the 25th, it'll be 6 caseworker vacancies. I have supervisors that are already carrying a caseload and anticipate with school starting that in order to meet the needs of our county, we will need to have our supervisors carry caseloads, which means working after hours and getting all the supervisor things in during the day and then accruing that additional time. And I'd like them to be compensated for that.
Okay. All right, thank you, Julia. So this would essentially be up to 15 per pay period, could be potentially 7, 8 hours additional a week.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any feedback, questions on this?
No, I'll make the motion. to
Okay.
approve it.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? We appreciate all the work that they are doing in light of some of the vacancies. And again, we hope with the salary study and the increases that there's some more applications coming through. But thank you for bringing this to us, Julia. Absolutely. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. We will now look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 10:22.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. We are adjourned. Gary, anything at this time? Okay. Calling to order the Board of Commissioners. Offer the opportunity for public comment. Seeing no public comment. Any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to approve our minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from July 28th and August 2nd.
I will second that.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. Joined by our controller to discuss the RFQs for auditing services. Jason, hi.
Yeah, good morning, thank you. This is, we're in the last contract right now with our current external auditor, and this was discussed at our Finance Committee meeting, and it was by consensus approved there to bring to the Board of Commissioners to approve going out to RFQ to solicit a new external auditor for the next year for certain, and then potentially 3 additional years after that. This is standard practice typically with an external auditor, that you want to rotate them out every 4 to 5 years, just to get different sets of eyes on the financial statements of the county.
And the last time we did this was 2018?
2018, yeah.
For 2018.
Yes,
So we
correct.
did it in that year, proved it, and started in 18. So essentially, our current auditor has been with us for 4 or 5 years
4
now?
years, yep.
4 years, okay. Okay, and they just wrapped up, we just received our final annual comprehensive.
We received our final annual comprehensive report. We're finishing up the final single audit with them, and then we will be starting off and then finishing by the end of the year the last transportation audit with them. And this RFQ also includes all of those audits as part of the fee for the potential auditor to bid on. So they're not going to be separate parts of the fee structure. Will be included within it.
We had a really good process when we did it several years ago, and I think replicating that as much as possible with a lot of good dialogue and scoring and conversations about what they would offer would be good. So appreciate you bringing this to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Modeled it after that process.
Excellent, great. Any other additional questions or comments before we look for a motion? Okay, we will look for a motion.
Motion to approve advertisement of the request for qualifications, professional auditing services.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you. All right, John, we'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before you is a suggested amendment to Resolution 7, which was adopted earlier this year, which authorizes the Administrator and Chief Clerk the authority to execute financial documents with a set threshold. We are suggesting that we amend that to allow for emergency acquisitions up to an amount of $50,000 for unforeseen situations that occur that we need to take immediate action on. So we are recommending and suggesting that we amend Resolution 7 to include the $50,000 emergency expenditure.
This is really coming into play if we have an issue at a 911 tower that we need to fix, if we have some sort of, large expenditure that breaks with an HVAC system within one of our facilities. It just allows you and the team to just get this ordered, get this, and especially with delays, we just need to get things moving. But then obviously, if something like that occurs, you would report on it per the resolution. So there still would be that feedback loop, but it just would assist with that, so.
Yes, it would fall in line with all other approvals that would occur, even the ones that are under $15,000. Those are all reported back to the board periodically.
Okay. Any discussion, questions?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. So this would be a resolution to amend Resolution 7 we did this year, so we would look to approve Resolution 13.
Motion to approve Resolution 13 of 2022.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, John, thank you. All right, Ray, we'll welcome you up to discuss liquid fuels.
Good morning, Commissioners. This morning, we're requesting consideration of a transfer of $24,000 in fee for local use that was granted to Snowshoe Township back in December of 2021. Snowshoe received $234,380 in PennDOT multimodal funds for the 6 township roads that are listed on the agenda. They have experienced an unexpected increase in asphalt and would like to transfer the bridge funds from the Cato Bridge, the $24,000, to the road project. I checked with Ann, and Ann indicated that PennDOT had reviewed and approved this as well. And Snowshoe could certainly come in and reapply for the Cato Road Bridge if they'd like to under liquid fuels or fee for local use, but we'd like to have this considered as a transfer.
Ray, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just wanted to thank your staff for reacting to this so quickly, Ray. We got a call a couple of weeks ago from one of the township supervisors there, and glad to hear we've even had a chance to run it up through PennDOT. That's great.
Yes.
I think this is going to be a recurring theme for a little while. In the Conservation District, Haynes Township had a dirt and gravel roads project that went over, the bid came in higher than anticipated. And so we've got to be a little nimble in our ability to move funds around, either to modify projects or potentially to move money around so we can complete the ones. But yeah, I think this is not something we're going to see in a vacuum here, I think.
Okay, Ray, thank you. No further comments. We'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve the transfer of funds from the Cato Road Bridge to the PennDOT multimodal project in Snowshoe Township.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Ray, thanks again. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, we have requisitions for our correctional facility, and it's for 2 full-time COs. Would there be a motion to approve those requisitions?
Motion to approve the correctional facility items 1 and 2.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. Lee, anything you'd like to, good morning, and anything you'd like to mention about Xander Boychuk at the correctional facility?
Yeah, so we brought Xander in. Dusty did a preliminary interview. We brought Xander in for a second interview. I saw a willingness, an eagerness to get started with the county. He not necessarily a friend, but an acquaintance on another project with one of our current technicians. Spoke very highly of his work ethic. So we're looking to bring Xander on board at the correctional facility at the A-step, $17.53 an hour, effective August 15th.
Thanks, Lee. Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve the appointment for Xander Boychuk.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried. Thank you, Lee. Okay, Kristen, we'll turn it to you for this one.
Sure. As part of the Archer study, the recommendation was to consolidate the two paralegal positions that we had within the county. We had paralegal 1 and 2 with no real difference between the two job descriptions, so we have consolidated them down to 1. So you'll just see that it's a change, and we'll just remove the 1 from the title, and everyone is now just a paralegal on the same grade.
Very similar to what we did with the district attorney's office in the salary board.
Correct. Correct.
All right, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the change in title for the position of paralegal on the Archer Compensation and Classification Study.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. For our CYS office, we'll look for a motion to approve the personnel requisition for a full-time caseworker 1.
Motion to approve the personnel requisition for Children and Youth Services.
All right, it's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. Natalie, I would assume just a requisition, nothing to, okay. All right. We'll look for a motion to approve the personnel requisition.
Motion to approve the personnel requisition for MHIDEI.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. And then we also have approval of the personnel requisition for a full-time task coordinator. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the personnel requisition for MHIDEI Drug and Alcohol for a task coordinator for the DUI court.
Seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. And Ray, anything you'd like to add to this one? Sure.
So she's not leaving the area.
Right.
We'll be working with her in the future, so we regret it, but hopeful that she'll fill big shoes at the center region.
Yeah. She'll be helping the county out, but just in another capacity. So absolutely. We wish her all the best. Motion to approve the personnel requisition for the planning office.
Motion to approve the personnel requisition for planning.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. We do want to report that President Judge West has approved the personnel requisitions for a full-time juvenile probation supervisor and for an office coordinator in the probation office. All right, our non-personnel items. We are joined by Mitzi Gallagher-Long. We are so pleased to have you here, Mitzi. It's fantastic news. So we'll turn it over to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So on the agenda today is your subgrantee agreement with Hans-Ahrensburg Municipal Authority. This is for the awarded CV competitive. And also the professional service agreement with CEDACOG for administration of your 2021 CDBG grant.
We know that we've talked just before about the $1 million for HAMA, but if you could just give another quick recap of where the money's being invested.
Sure. The money is going to do connect well number 4, which is an additional water source for them. And in order to bring that well online, they need to build a transmission line from the well to the treatment plant and then from the treatment plant out into the distribution system. And that is what this funding will do.
Fantastic. Okay, Mitzi, and congratulations. This is a few $100,000 more than the Potter's Mills Gap one that I think was approved a few years ago. So this is great. Congratulations to you and CEDACOG.
Thank you.
For doing
Over $1
this.
million.
Yeah, it's.
And this is new
yeah.
money, right? This was the competitive we were going for.
The competitive, yes.
Got it. Nice.
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
You have another competitive in too for HAMA, but this was the one that went in several months ago.
We get that one. That'll be setting off fireworks. That's the 10 million,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the big one, so.
Let's celebrate the small victories. today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, this is very,
Even if it's not a small
Yeah,
victory, it's a
not
big
that small.
victory.
very meaningful, so congrats. And then, of course, the actual service agreement that we have with you is the second item. And again, we look forward to working with you in the future. So we'll look for a motion to approve both items for CEDACOG, but planning as well.
Motion to approve the planning and community development items 1 and 2.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any questions, Gary, on that? Yeah.
This is the million, this is not the big.
This is the, okay.
This is the smaller one.
No, that's still
No,
significant.
We'll still take the money.
It's all relative, yeah.
It was big at the time
I know,
until they
right.
brought in a second one, so,
No.
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mitzi. All right, Natalie. This is this is also a big deal.
Yes.
We typically have a meeting on Tuesday with CCAP happening, so we're compacting a lot into this meeting, but this is a big deal as well. So, good morning.
So, good morning. So what we have before you is our Human Services Block Grant Plan. And this plan is for the current fiscal year of 22-23. And as you know, this plan encompasses money from our mental health office, intellectual disability, drug and alcohol, as well as under adult services, as does homeless assistance, as well as human services and supports. And so just a reference point, we have been Block Grant County since 2012. So, finishing into our 10th year of being a Block Grant County for us, which has allowed us the opportunity to expand the services due to the flexibility that the Block Grant really does provide for us. And so we are grateful for that. And so we do the plan accordingly. We held 2 public hearings on July 27th and July 29th, both in-person and virtual options for our community. We also received written feedback from individuals in our community that we included into our plan. And so really the crux of it is, unfortunately, we are staying status quo with our funding. And because of that, we are not really making any significant changes to our service structure in this upcoming year. The areas that we highlighted in our plan this year were areas of the hopefulness to expand some outpatient mental health services, which we have done in previous years in our plan to do that. We also are highlighting the crisis grants that we received because we're hopeful that the state will do extensions on those grants since they expire June of 2023. And so we were told to advocate for that in our block grant plan, which we have done. We're looking at increasing some suicide prevention opportunities within our plan as well. Intellectual disabilities, really focusing on education and employment. Substance abuse is really ensuring that families know that they can come to us for treatment. We are estimating serving about 357 individuals utilizing substance abuse services. And then our homeless assistance and supports, as ERAP money is progressing through, we will see an opportunity maybe to have some of our RAP, rental assistance dollars, increase as well. And then we really are making sure that we have those connections in the community by maintaining all of our case management. Center Volunteers in Medicine, Center Helps, as well as our own case management team. And so the plan is on our county website. We actually have a Human Services Block Grant page for that if people want to look at it. And we do want to still have it open, so it's moving to consent and not just approval today, because it's due the 19th. So we do have time to allow any further input and discussion of it. But the grant total is $6,150,312. That does have the required county match of $257,655, and we do estimate serving 14,771 individuals with that money.
Thank you, Natalie. We heard at some of the public hearings from our partners in the community and how they were appreciative and thankful for the partnership that exists between the Human Services with you and the rest of the team. So again, we're well over 60, approaching $70 million in terms of money we've received over the last over decade of being in the program. So again, it's a meaningful investment. So thank you for presenting it today. Again, we will have it on our Tuesday agenda for final approval and further comment if anybody'd like to offer that. Any other comments or questions before we look for a motion? Okay. All right, we will look for a motion.
Motion to add the Human Services Block Grant Plan to next week's consent agenda.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Natalie, for that. And then aging.
Sure.
Yes.
So we have 2 contract renewals on behalf of the Office of Aging. The first one is with Mid-Penn Legal Services, so one of our local partners that we have. And this is really, we use Mid-Penn as needed in terms of appealing for insurance, simple POAs, living wills, and we particularly use them when it comes to landlord-tenant issues on behalf of residents that work with our aging office. And so this is really for a 3-year plan. As such, the state and the Office of Aging likes 3-year contracts, so it outlines the funding that we will receive from this, and that is solely funded through our state block grant. The second one is with Sunny Days Adult Living Center. They really encourage us to have a opportunity for older adults to go for socialization and for meal. That's beyond what we do for our senior centers. And Sunny Days does provide that to us, actually right up the road. So we are looking to fund that, bring this contract back. We did not have this contract over the COVID period of time, and so we're bringing this contract back for the same 3-year period of August 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2025, and it's also being funded through state dollars.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the 2 aging items? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the aging contracts 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Natalie, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Dave, we'll welcome you up for these 2 items for MATP and shared ride.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
I come to ask consideration for you to approve our submission of the 4th quarter fiscal report for the Medical Assistance Transportation Program that ended June 30th of 2022. As required by the Medical Assistance Program, we need to bring it before the board for you to approve our final report, and we have it in front of you. I think it's in the amount of $734,435 that we used out of our allocated amount. It's a little bit less than the allocated, but it's better than it was the previous fiscal year, for sure.
And essentially, the reason why we didn't draw all of it down was the amount of rides that
The
occurred.
needs, correct.
Okay,
yes.
fair enough. But still, that's like you said, it's on the upswing. We're
Oh,
seeing more
yes,
rides.
yes. The original grant was for $779,244, and we used all but $43,000 of it this year. So we're probably right around 75 to almost 80% of where we were pre-pandemic. So certainly climbing in the right direction. Yeah. And then the other item is the consideration of approval of our community public transportation grant agreement with PennDOT, with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, for the shared ride services that we provide for both seniors and the persons with disabilities for the fiscal year that we're currently in, 2022-2023. The grant total is $653,000, with $576,000 for shared ride lottery rides and $77,000 for persons with disabilities. That covers, again, the period July 1, 2022 through June 30th of 2023. I will say that that amount is the equal amount of what they gave us last year. They just gave us the same amount again. The thing with these monies, if we use more, they pay us. We don't have to beg, borrow, and plead. We just submit the bill and they pay it. But that's our baseline of the grant that we have, yes.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Any questions or comments on items 1 and 2 for transportation? Okay, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to add the transportation items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. May I have a question?
Dave, a few months ago, you talked about a ride service in the works Geisinger was going to offer. Do you know if that's started yet?
No, that's, we're actually looking to start that September 1st. We're in the final planning stages of that, working with the other agencies. Rabbit Transportation is running that for Geisinger throughout the state, but that program should start, our target is September 1, so I'll have more on that soon, yeah.
All right, Dave, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. All right, welcome up, Carrie, to talk about a no-cost grant extension.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here requesting signature on the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency project modification request for the Burn Justice Assistance Grant. This project has been delayed numerous times due to COVID, and in order to expend the entire award amount, we're requesting a no-cost extension for an additional quarter, so now we would end on December 31st of this year. The extension would grant us more time to finish the last training, which is the ORAS, and then to spend the entire grant funds to the best of our ability. I've had conversations with PCCD when we completed our program reports this last quarter. We currently have a little over $16,000 remaining of the initial award, which was a little over $90,000. And they would like to see us spend all of the award as well, as opposed to returning some of those funds. So they said we could extend it one more quarter and end in December, so that should give us plenty of time to spend those awards. If you do recall, I was before the board probably last month to submit for a continuation of this grant, which was a separate application. We haven't received official award on that yet, but they did indicate they would just start that later after this one ends, and we would start that one in January. Originally, we planned to start that one October 1st, so it would just get delayed an additional quarter as well.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any questions or comments on the grant extension? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve the extension for the JAG funding through PCCD.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Carrie, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we will welcome up Chad to talk about an ITS item. Hi, Chad, good morning.
Good morning. Today I have a merchant services contract for consideration with WorldPay. They do business as Allpaid. This would be to accept credit card payments for county departments. Currently, our recorder of deeds has an agreement with Allpaid. This would replace that, as it would be a master agreement for the whole county. So departments could use this merchant service agreements to accept payments with a terminal in person, either online or over the phone. And there's been 3 additional departments that we've had discussions with Allpay that are interested in using credit cards for various services that they offer. So this contract is no cost to the county. It's a small convenience fee for the user.
Thank you, Chad, very much. Any questions or comments on this?
We'll mention that a couple of county commissioners at the convention say, is your county accepting anything besides checks and cash? And I'm like, yes, we are. So thanks to yourself and the departments and row officers for working on this.
All right, we will look for a motion.
Motion to add the contract with WorldPay LLC to next week's consent agenda.
Second. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Chad, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll look for a motion to approve the housing satisfaction piece for Monica Prisk, located in Pleasant Gap.
Motion to approve the satisfaction piece for Monica Prisk.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. At 10:47, we'd look to go into recess so that we could go into our Board of Elections. Is there a motion to go into recess?
Motion to go into recess.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. The motion has carried. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to call the Board of Elections for Center County to order at 10:47. And at this time, we will entertain public comment for anything that's not included on the agenda. Seeing no one, we'll move ahead to any additions to the agenda. Seeing no additions, approval of the minutes of the last, are there minutes to approve, I should say? We don't have any, okay. All right, I guess we will move to new business, which is Beth will, we'll entertain some discussion about Act 88, the Elections Integrity Grant Program. Turn it over to Beth.
So today I come to you with some guidelines and information about the Act 88 Election Integrity Grant Program, the categories and estimates in which the grant monies can be spent. So this is just a broad analysis based on the limited information that I have. The grant funding is limited to certain areas and criteria. The costs included in this presentation are estimated. As more clarification is given, the funds may need to be moved to other categories. Until we can put mechanisms in place to put the areas in which the duties are performed, the cost projections are just estimates. and each election cycle will require adjustments to the cost because, as you know, each election cycle is slightly different. Municipal elections are much different than a presidential election. But Center County funds, we are granted or projected to receive $540,987.73, an average of $270,493 per election. Now, some of these items are annual and not per election, so you'll see that as I go through the slides. One of the areas which we can spend the money is the payment of staff needed to pre-canvass and canvass, mail-in ballots, and absentees. So a few of those categories that I anticipate we can spend the money is vote-by-mail workers at the vote-by-mail center on Election Day, ES&S site support on Election Day, and temporary workers pre-election day. So those would be anybody that comes in to help assist organizing and recording those ballots as they come in the amount set forth. Physical security and transparency costs for centralized pre-canvassing and canvassing. So just a few of the areas for security would be the sheriff's deputies that assist on election night here at the facility and collecting the drop boxes, and then any rental space of that we would use for the canvassing. Post-election procedures required under Senate Bill 982. This would be some of my time administering the grants, doing any of the canvassing, certifying the election with the state. So those kinds of duties would fall under this category. And temporary staff for canvassing. So that would be any of the workers that come into the office as well. List maintenance activities under 25 PC 1910. These are things that the county already does. These are the annual mailers that we do, so this is nothing new. We would just be reimbursed for these costs. So we print the NCOA mailers. We just did those in July. We usually do them in June or July. And then the printing of the 5-year cancelizations, and those are done in January. So these are things that are nothing new, but luckily we'll be reimbursed for those. The printing of ballots, once again, printing of Election Day ballots, the printing of absentee and mail-in ballots by a mail house, the postage of sending those ballots out, provisional ballots used in the precincts on Election Day, and the mail-in ballots that we need to have on site for anybody that votes in person. These amounts will change depending on the election cycle. Once again, in the general election, in the fall elections, we have to print 100% of ballots now, and then in the primary elections, it's 50%. Payment of staff at polling places on Election Day and training costs for those workers. So we spend a good bit of our funds on our poll workers and training those poll workers. And this is an area in which we would like to do some improvements, possibly getting some software to help with scheduling and doing some more online training with those poll workers as well. Those costs are not included in this slide. Secure preparation, transportation, storage, and management of voting apparatus, tabulation equipment, and required polling place materials. This is one area that we spend a good bit of money. We have to have rental trucks to deliver the equipment, the maintenance agreements with ES&S, that's a large portion, but, you have to keep the equipment maintained. You have to make sure that they have a annual maintenance performed. Supplies for poll workers, those are our supply boxes and anything we send to the polls. The one thing that I don't have clarification on would be the poll books. So printing of our poll books that need to go out to the polls. Cost to move the OPEX equipment to the BBM. We're hoping to use that for the first time. Those are the actual letter openers that I think will help with the new requirement that we have to continuously, without interruption, count the ballots. Space for ballot storage. This is something that we need to discuss further, but having been requested to keep materials from 2020. Our space here is limited, so I'd like to look at some facilities to store that materials. Maintenance agreement for the extractors. Continued the security seals that we seal the equipment with. The vote by mail coordinator, a lot of the time spent by that person is programming the election, preparing the equipment, doing those kinds of jobs, and also the time for the poll workers. So that could be included with their salary as well. And the election coordinator, same thing. And facilities management staff to deliver the materials to the polls, so their time would be considered something that we could pay out of this. Cost of County Board of Election duties related to processing of voter registration applications. So our voter registration coordinator, the bulk of their pay would come out of this because that is what they do on a daily basis. Same with the election clerk. They're opening the mail, that would be voter registrations, vote by mail applications, postage for the voter registration cards, and the printing of the voter registration cards. Estimated amounts reimbursable by the grant, $582,280. So this goes over the amount. So our recommendation for the first year was submit everything that we think could be reimbursed through the grant, and then we'll identify the areas, and we can submit additional invoices if what we have submitted is not covered. So there are a few requirements pertaining to the vote by mail. The county shall begin pre-canvassing at 7 a.m. on Election Day and shall continue without interruption until each mail-in ballot and absentee received by 7 a.m. on Election Day is pre-canvassed. So that would be anything that we would receive before 7 a.m. The county shall begin canvassing mail-in ballots and absentee ballots at 8 p.m. on Election Day and still continue without interruption until each ballot has been canvassed. No later than 12:01 a.m. the day following election, the County Board of Elections shall announce and post on its publicly accessible internet website an unofficial number of absentee ballots and mail-in ballots received. So that is not the results, that's just the total ballots that we will count. A county shall certify to the DCED the county has completed a voter list maintenance. Those are the programs that I talked about earlier that we do already. So that's nothing new or changing. The outcome of any post-election audit required under the election code shall be submitted with the certification of the Secretary of the Commonwealth, and that is information forthcoming. We're not exactly sure what those audits will be yet. I do anticipate them being risk-limiting audits, though. We do have some reporting requirements. There are two separate reports outlined that we have to do. The first is a requirement. It's a one-time submission that certifies that we are doing everything that the county is required to do if we apply for the grant. And the second is the reporting requirement is in the annual report that must be submitted to the DCED and legislative leaders no later than 90 days after each election. That's a lot of information. Do you have any questions?
Well, I guess my one question is, I think we've talked about this previously, and what the impact of having to do that constant canvassing.
We did talk about that, and as long as we are willing to put a plan in place that allows us to close our drop boxes on Monday and allow those ballots to be here on Monday and get those organized to start canvassing, I think there'll be a minimum amount that will come in on Election Day that we'll have to canvass at 8 p.m. So I think it's just going to be some tweaking of our schedule and the way that we handle things, but I do believe it is something that we can accomplish.
Yeah, I think just if I could offer, the amounts, as you said on that first slide, or one of the first ones, are going to change. This is a general guide, but it's fair to say at least one out of every $5 will go to poll workers. And even if you include the money for some of your time, Tisha's, maybe even Jody or the new staff member, even Laura's, it may be maybe $2 out of $5 out of this grant is going to support you and your team and poll workers, and those are really the people who make it happen. But as we get into this and we see what the cost may be as we go into this next general election, it'll be helpful to clarify that out. So I think at this point, I'll offer, I'm comfortable with taking the funds. The one question I had was, could we use the funds? These are funds that we could allocate to in certain amounts, that we'd actually be able to spend it. If there are strings attached, and if it was too strict, does it make sense to, rely on these funds and to have to work under these guidelines? But we can certainly use the money. And then secondly, can we operationalize the changes necessary without significantly impacting the ability for folks to vote and be able to participate? And the answer is yes. So people are still going to be able to vote. It's not going to change anything from a public standpoint. We'll work through some of the mechanisms for pre-canvassing, as we've always done, but I think this really will allow us to offset significant costs and be able to again, run our elections and get some help from the state. And hopefully the legislature would consider the fact that this is a fraction of the amount that we spend on our elections and maybe increase this. And I think that's fair. I mean, they want to see it's going to good use. So hopefully the money's spent well, and over the next few years they increase this as we go forward. So we'll see. But it's another requirement for you in the ever-changing world of elections, Beth. So we appreciate I really appreciate you putting this together for us, and also for the public to see where exactly is this state money going to fund elections. So really appreciate the work you've done for this. So thank you.
Thanks, Beth, to you and your staff for doing the additional research. There are some additional requirements, but as Mike and Steve mentioned, we can handle those additional requirements, and it is nice to have at least a portion of the election costs reimbursed by the state. Sounds like we may be taking your department up. I know when I started it was 3 people, now it's 4 people, maybe eventually you'll be at 5 people in that department.
Okay. Well, with all that said, no other further questions for Beth, I assume. I guess I would entertain a motion that we recommend to the Board of Commissioners to apply for the Elections Integrity Grant.
I hear they're good people, Board of Commissioners. So
I hear they're tough to work with.
I really hope that I would just say, before I offer the motion, I hope they hear our call, and, we'll see what we have to do, but
Bring the clarions out.
I'll make the motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to apply for the Election Integrity Grant Program for this current year we're in.
I will second the motion.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Any questions?
Will this mean hiring extra people to tabulate, or any other jobs in the election office during?
We are looking currently for a vote-by-mail coordinator to assist with all of the duties for the vote-by-mail services. So that is one person that we are looking for a full-time position in the office. We will probably be moving around the schedule for the temporary people that we use at the vote-by-mail center, being that we probably won't have a Wednesday afternoon counting. It's going to be a Tuesday evening, late into the night possibly, but we'll hopefully be able to increase those numbers and get that done in a timely fashion.
The average cost for an election now in Center County is ballpark?
I believe it's 1.2 million is our budget
For the year. Yeah,
for the year.
And by accepting this money, does this impact the upcoming November election? Will there be any changes? This will go into effect for November?
Correct. So we will have to count those ballots uninterrupted for the November election, and then we will have some reporting that we'll have to do.
But as you said, for voters,
They should see no impact other than a change in the time that the drop boxes will be available to them.
Thank you. All right. That being said, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right. Any old business to attend to? All right. Seeing none there. In regard to election announcement, I'm going to take the opportunity to read my voter registration report during an election board meeting, which I've never done before. So it's a special occasion. Okay, and that's indicated by 105,081 registered voters in Center County this week. We have 43,941 Democratic registrants, 144 Green Party, 649 Libertarian, 14,216 no affiliations, 42,339 Republican voters, and that leads a total of 3,793 of all the other minor parties. And of those minor parties, I would like to indicate the recognition of the Libertarian Republican Party here in Center County, which has one registered voter. So, the precinct feature of the week is precinct number 70, which is Potter North, which votes at the Center Hall Lions Club off of Route 192. The total registered voters in the last election was 925. Total ballots cast 425, which led to a percentage voter turnout of 45.84%. And I'd like to recognize the folks that make it happen at Precinct 70, and that they are the Judge of Elections is Bambi Joe Homan, the Minority Inspector is Ann Mullenbrock, the Majority Inspector is Pam Hollabaugh, and the clerks are Kama Corman, Jara Gates Harder, and Mary Fran Homan. And so, again, thanks to the Center Hall Lions Club for allowing us to use their facility, and we'll see you in just a few short months. So there you have it. So that being said, going back to the election board agenda, is there any other need for action or discussion here this morning? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Or Gary, is there any other?
I've got one question on related to election, so if you need to get out of this.
We'll get out of this one and
Okay.
go back to the commissioners. So
I will look for a motion to adjourn. I will motion to adjourn.
Move to-
I'm sorry.
I will
I will move to
I
adjourn.
will second the motion.
okay, any other discussion?
I don't know,
If
sir.
not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're adjourned, and back to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll come out of recess for our Board of Commissioners, and we are learning now that the Board of Elections has recommended to the Board of Commissioners to accept Elections Integrity Grant Program, grant funding, and, but again, Beth, thank you for the presentation that we heard, and just doing the math here, based upon Commissioner Dershow's report, for every voter we have, we get about $5, roughly. And so I think we would I'm just doing the math here, but if we, register more people for this upcoming election, whenever that calculation is done for the 2023, 2024 monies, we'll get more. So,
Correct.
It's
It's based on voter registration totals per county.
so hopefully we'll see those numbers increase as we go into next year. But anyway, any final discussion before the Board of Commissioners authorizes the application for the EIGP? Anything else we wanted to cover or discuss? Okay, seeing none. And we have time set aside for tomorrow to finalize that, and it's through the DCD portal, so we'll take care of that.
Correct.
Tomorrow. Okay, great. We will look for a motion to that effect.
Motion to apply for the Elections Integrity Grant Program.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. The motion has carried. Okay. Beth, thanks again. Thank you. Thank you. We have two items for our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay. And Commissioner Higgins, we'll turn it to you for the check run.
Sure, substantially smaller than average check run of $464,988.34. Decided to make the check of the week a series of checks to election systems and software, which was on an earlier slide, totaling $34,066.39. So hopefully some of those expenses might be reimbursed by this grant. So would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated August 5th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion has carried. Okay. We did receive from the Three Dots downtown a letter of support request, and this is for our arts, our town, I'm sorry, the NEA's Our Town grant application. And it's essentially to allow for the creation of an inclusive residency program. And these are happening all over the place, bringing folks in for a period of time to live in a community, to create art, And it's really been seen to work well here in Bellefonte with a program they're doing with PA Wilds, but this is really a specific program that the NEA is supporting. And so we look for a motion to approve that letter of support.
Motion to approve the letter of support.
Second?
Yeah.
Get a second? Okay, sure. All right, all in favor say, sure. Sure.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
We like it.
All right, we're pushing,
Well, we're
Little bit
hoping
at-
we're hoping they're successful.
no, absolutely, absolutely. We're pushing past 11, so we're enjoying ourselves. John, anything to discuss for your report? Okay, okay. We already received the report in the Board of Elections. We have no other announcements. Did not have an executive session, no need to have one. Okay, Gary, please, any questions?
John, is there any change in the contract status for the state COVID testing center in Bellefonte? Are you looking to lengthen, possibly keep it open, or have you heard anything from the state?
We're still discussing the future of testing in Center County. I've been speaking with both the Department of Health as well as the AMI testing site. We are looking to see if the site could remain open for an additional period of time. We do have a time clock at our current location, so we're concurrently looking at other locations throughout the county to see, where we could potentially move that site. But we are awaiting for additional guidance from the Department of Health at this time.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Gary, thank you so much. Looking for a motion to adjourn at 11:10.
Motion to adjourn at 11:10.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, okay? Thank you all very much, appreciate it, thank you.